How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie's summary. If you're looking for a guide to dealing with people, not just in business, but in all areas of life, this How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary is exactly what you need. Today, we'll break down the most impactful lessons from Dale Carnegie's classic that has helped millions of people connect, influence, and earn trust, even without status, money, or power. If you want to learn how to make people like you, earn respect, and become more persuasive in your daily interactions, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We bring optimized book summaries weekly. Dale Carnegie begins by explaining that while we're taught technical skills in school, we're rarely taught how to deal with people, even though that's the one skill that defines success in every field. Carnegie spent years observing human behavior in business, politics, and everyday life. He realized that influence doesn't come from authority, it comes from emotional intelligence. People don't change when they're criticized. They change when they feel understood. They don't follow the person who shouts the loudest. They follow the one who listens best. And that's why this book became one of the most important personal development works of all time. Carnegie shares dozens of strategies, but they all revolve around one central idea. If you want to influence someone, start by seeing the world through their eyes. When we deal with people, we're not dealing with logic. We're dealing with emotions, egos, and a deep human desire to feel important. And yet, most of us approach conversations trying to convince, argue, or prove ourselves right, and then wonder why the other person pulls away. Carnegie turns that approach upside down. He tells stories of business leaders, presidents, and everyday people who became more effective not by learning new facts, but by mastering human connection. They asked more questions. They listened more than they spoke. They gave credit. They respected opinions. Above all, they made others feel seen. One example, Carnegie shows how remembering a person's name, a simple act, created instant respect and loyalty. Why? Because a person's name is the most personal sound in any language. It signals you matter. In another case, a frustrated executive stopped arguing with his team and started asking for their input first. The shift was dramatic. Productivity increased. Conflicts disappeared. Trust was restored, not through force, but through emotional intelligence. Carnegie reminds us that the fastest way to get someone to say yes is to talk in terms of what they want, not in terms of your goals, not your opinions, but their desires, their needs, their wins. Whether you're in sales, leadership, education, or just trying to build better relationships. This principle never fails. People are far more likely to cooperate when they feel heard, valued, and respected. And that brings us to one of the most misunderstood ideas in communication: praise. Carnegie warns against fake compliments or manipulation, but he strongly emphasizes the power of honest, sincere appreciation. He says, look for the good in others. Say it when you see it. Be specific. Be genuine. It changes how people see themselves and how they see you. Instead of telling someone what they're doing wrong, catch them doing something right. Say it. This shift doesn't just create better results, it creates better people. Because when you treat someone with dignity, even in correction, they grow. When you attack, they retreat. When you encourage, they rise. Optimized insights. Part 1, this Dale Carnegie book summary reveals that influence starts with emotional connection, not logic. People don't resist change, they resist being changed without consent. Every interaction is a choice. Do you criticize or do you connect? If you want to win people, give them what they want most: respect and recognition. This How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary is already making you rethink how you deal with people. Like the video and subscribe. We still have a lot more to cover. One of the biggest mistakes people make in communication is trying to look smart instead of being emotionally available. Carnegie explains that when you stop focusing on impressing others and start genuinely caring about them, everything changes. He shares the story of a man who became one of the most liked people in his field. His secret? He didn't talk about himself. He asked questions. He listened. He made people feel heard. This is a consistent theme throughout this How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The truth is, we're all tuned into the same emotional frequency. We want to feel important. And if you can give someone that feeling sincerely, they will like you, trust you, and follow you. It's not about manipulating people. About understanding a universal human need and meeting it authentically. Carnegie also emphasizes the importance of something we often overlook: smiling. A genuine smile, not forced or fake, is one of the most powerful tools of human connection. It says, "I'm safe, I'm open, I respect you." It lowers defenses, it invites trust, and it makes people want to stay in your presence. It's so simple, yet so overlooked. Many people think they need to be charismatic or outgoing too, be liked, but sometimes all it takes is a kind face and a quiet presence. That's why this book resonates with people across every background, introverts and extroverts alike. It's not about changing your personality. It's about refining your emotional awareness. In another example, Carnegie explains how a simple gesture, remembering and using someone's name, creates an immediate emotional bond. It's not just about courtesy, it's about identity. When you use someone's name, you're telling them, "You matter enough for me to remember you." And that's more powerful than any sales pitch or argument. Another key lesson is the value of listening. It's not just nodding while waiting your turn to speak, but truly listening. Making space for the other person's thoughts, emotions, and perspective. Carnegie says that being a good listener is one of the easiest ways to become instantly likable. Because when someone feels heard, they also feel safe. And in that safety, connection happens. One executive Carnegie coached transformed his career simply by listening more and talking less. He stopped interrupting. He stopped trying to win meetings. And as a result, people opened up, and he earned more respect than ever. The same applies in personal life. Relationships grow not when you fix problems, but when you understand pain. Not when you offer answers, but when you offer attention. This is the emotional intelligence that Dale Carnegie teaches through example after example. He also shows how to guide conversations in a way that builds rapport. Instead of dominating the topic, find out what the other person is passionate about and let them talk about it. People love to share their interests, stories, and beliefs, but few people give them that chance. If you can become the one who listens deeply, you'll be remembered long after the conversation ends. Carnegie encourages us to talk in terms of the other person's interests, not because it's strategic, but because it's respectful. Whether you're speaking with a client, colleague, friend, or stranger, the principle is the same. Make them feel important and do it sincerely. It's not about praise or manipulation. It's about presence. Sometimes that presence means remembering a name. Sometimes it means smiling. Sometimes it means listening quietly while someone tells you what they've never told anyone else. In the end, influence is not something you force, it's something you earn by caring. Optimized Insights Part 2 this Dale Carnegie book summary shows that human connection is built on simple, sincere actions, not complex tactics. A smile, a name, a pause to listen. These are the real tools of influence. You make someone feel important without needing anything in return. You become unforgettable. Empathy isn't just a feeling, it's a skill. It's the most valuable one you can develop. If this How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary is helping you rethink how to connect with others, like the video and subscribe. The next part reveals how to handle disagreement and conflict and still come out respected. So far, in this How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary, we've seen how empathy, listening, and small acts of attention generate big results in relationships. But what about disagreement? What about correction, criticism, or conflict? This is where Dale Carnegie's wisdom becomes even more powerful. He explains that the moment you challenge someone directly, especially with phrases like, "You're wrong" or "That's not true," they shut down. Doesn't matter if you're right. Doesn't matter how logical your argument is. If the other person feels attacked, their ego takes over, and real communication ends. That's why Carnegie suggests a completely different approach. Avoid direct confrontation. Instead, lead the person gently. toward your point of view. Start by showing respect for their opinion. Even if you disagree, say something like, "That's an interesting perspective," or "I see your point." This lowers defensiveness. Then, instead of pushing your argument, ask questions. Invite them to explore the idea with you. Bridges instead of throwing stones. This approach doesn't just make the conversation smoother, it makes you more persuasive. Because people change their minds more easily when they don't feel like they're being forced to change them. Carnegie also talks about the power of admitting your own mistakes. Most people avoid this. They fear it makes them look weak. But it's the opposite. When you own your flaws and do it quickly, clearly, and confidently, you gain credibility. You show maturity. And you remove the other person's need to criticize you because you've already done it. It's not about self-deprecation. It's about self-awareness. One of Carnegie's examples involves a manager who walked into a difficult meeting by saying, "Before we talk, I need to apologize. I handled that situation poorly." Instead of blame or backlash, he received respect. The mood shifted. Real progress happened. The lesson: humility disarms conflict. Another powerful insight is to start difficult conversations with something positive. Praise before correction. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional intelligence. When someone feels recognized, they're more likely to hear your feedback. Without feeling attacked, for example, "I've always appreciated how reliable you are with deadlines. And there's just one small detail we could improve on." That one sentence opens doors that criticism would slam shut. Carnegie also advises to frame suggestions as questions. Instead of "you should do this," try "what if we tried this approach?" This preserves the other person's sense of agency, and that creates buy-in. He shares real stories of leaders, teachers, parents who learned this the hard way and saw extraordinary results once they stopped trying to control and started collaborating. One executive turned around a failing team just by changing his language. He stopped ordering. He started asking. He listened more. And in weeks, the mood and performance of the team shifted dramatically. This is the quiet power of influence. It doesn't look like domination. It looks like trust. It doesn't sound like shouting. It sounds like invitation. It doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like respect. Carnegie reminds us, if you want someone to improve, give them a reputation to live up to. Speak to the best in them. Tell them you believe in their potential. That belief often becomes self-fulfilling. People rise to the level of your expectations when those expectations are delivered with warmth. Optimized Insights Part 3 in this Dale Carnegie book summary. We see that correction is more effective when wrapped in respect. People don't change when they're cornered. They change when they feel safe. Admit your mistakes, and you take away the other person's need to defend theirs. Suggest with questions. Affirm with empathy. Influence without resistance. This How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary is helping you reimagine what true influence looks like. Like the video and subscribe. The final part brings everything together and delivers the most transformative insight yet. We've covered listening, empathy, handling conflict, and building trust. But there's one more layer in this How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary. And it's about helping others grow without forcing them. Dale Carnegie believed that true leadership isn't about authority. It's about creating the emotional conditions for people to improve themselves. And that begins with encouragement. He explains that most people already know their flaws. What they don't get often enough is someone who believes in them anyway. When you praise even small improvements, sincerely, you give people emotional energy. They stop fearing failure and start trying harder because they feel safe. That's the environment where growth happens. Carnegie tells the story of a teacher who took a failing student and turned him around, not by criticizing his weaknesses, but by highlighting every tiny progress. The student became one of the best in the class. Why? Because someone believed in his ability to grow. The principle applies everywhere. Teams, families, classrooms, friendships. Don't wait for perfection to give feedback. Celebrate effort, progress, consistency. These are the real signs of transformation. Another key idea is the concept of letting people save face. Even when someone is clearly wrong, don't expose them harshly. Don't embarrass them. Don't correct them in public. Do it gently and always in private. Carnegie explains that losing face is a deep emotional injury. And when someone feels humiliated, they won't listen. They'll protect themselves. If you truly want to help someone grow, protect their dignity as you guide their improvement. And when you need to ask someone to change, especially in professional settings, Carnegie suggests framing it in a way that benefits them. Show them how it serves their goals. Make it a mutual win. Invite, don't impose. For example, instead of saying, "You need to fix this," say, "This change could really elevate your results. How would you feel about trying it this way?" This kind of language turns resistance into openness, because now they feel part of the process, not a target of it. And perhaps one of the most powerful lessons in the entire book is this: give the other person a reputation to live up to. If you want someone to become more responsible, treat them as someone who already is. You want someone to act with integrity, speak as if that's who they are. People often rise not because they've changed, because someone saw something in them they didn't yet see in themselves. That's leadership. You're not just correcting mistakes, you're creating new identities. You're not just giving feedback, you're shaping belief. You're not just influencing actions, you're inspiring transformation. And in doing so, you build loyalty that no command ever could. Because in the end, people don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And when you make them feel seen, respected, and capable, they'll walk with you anywhere. Optimized Insight's final section, this Dale Carnegie book summary, reveals that true leadership is emotional, not positional. Encourage small improvements, they lead to major breakthroughs. Let others save face, dignity builds. Loyalty. Frame change as opportunity, not correction. Believe in people, and they'll believe in themselves. If this How to Win Friends and Influence People book summary inspired you to lead with more empathy, like the video and subscribe. We bring summaries of the world's most transformative books, optimized for impact, growth, and real connection.